MMC TV USA. Now on POTV, Channel 100.
Well, hello there once again and welcome to MMC World Roundup, where we connect you with the latest news from Sri Lanka and around the world. Well, before we dive right into the details, let's take a quick look at what's making headlines today. The President assures foremost place for Buddhism. IMF expects Sri Lanka agreements soon. Narendra Modi is set to take oath as India's Prime Minister for a third term. Well, taking a look at your news in detail, President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that according to the Constitution, prioritizing Buddhism is imperative. He said that the responsibility of upholding this principle is vested in the executive, legislature and judiciary. The president said anyone seeking to alter this principle should endeavor to amend the constitution accordingly. President Ranil Wickremesinghe said this during his participation in the inauguration ceremony of the Gurudev Suwarna Gilan Bhikshu Center constructed in Kirivathuduwa, Homagama yesterday. The president said that the constitution of the country outlines people's sovereignty, prioritization of Buddhism, and preservation of territorial integrity as its core principles. The construction of this Gurudev Suwarna Gilan Bhikshu Center has been accomplished through the labor contributions of the Sri Lanka Army, supported by both local and international donors. Venerable Bhikkhuni Neonghang, the chief of the Buddhist hospital in Ulsan, South Korea, and Sintao, a Bhikkhuni Kaushon from Longfong Monastery in Taiwan, have generously contributed to the medical equipment of this facility. Their contributions were made in response to an invitation extended by Venerable Katwana Vijitamasathera, Sri Lankaramadhipati, Hetu, South Korea.
එක තර්කයක් ඉදිරිපත් වෙලා තියෙනවා දැන් ආණ්ඩුවයි ආගමුයි වෙන් කරන්න ඕන එක. ආණ්ඩුවයි බුද්ධ ආගමයි වෙන් කරන්න උවමනයි. ඉතින් මම බැලුවා ඒ ගැන නීතිමය තත්වය සඳහන් කරන්න පළවෙනිවම අපේ රටේ හැම එක්කෙනාටම තමන් කැමති ආගමක් අදහන්න අයිතිය තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ආගමක් අදහන්න නැතුව ඉන්නත් අයිතිය තියෙනවා. ඒ අයිතිය හැම එක්කෙනාටම තියෙන එක. ඊට අමතරව අපේ ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ තව වගන්තියක් තියෙනවා. ඕනෑම රජයක් විශේෂයෙන්ම බුද්ධ ආගමට ප්‍රමුඛ ස්ථානය දිය යුතුයි කියලා. දැන් මේ ප්‍රමුඛ ස්ථානය දෙන එක ආණ්ඩුවට විතරක් නෙමෙයි රාජ්‍යයට කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. එහෙනම් මේ රටේ රාජ්‍යයට අයිති පාලනයට අයිති අංශ තුනක් තියෙනවා. එකක් තමයි විධායක ජනාධිපතිගේ ප්‍රධානත්වයෙන්, අනික් එක තමයි පාර්ලිමේන්තුව කතානායකතුමාගේ ප්‍රධානත්වයෙන්, අධිකරණයේ තියෙනවා අග්‍රවිංශකාරතුමාගේ ප්‍රධානත්වයෙන්. එහෙනම් මේ ආයතන තුනම මේ සහයෝගය දෙන්න උවමනයි. මේ සහයෝගය නොදී ඉන්න එක ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම ව්‍යවස්ථාවට විරුද්ධයි. මන්ත්‍රීවරු හැටියට අපි අද ව්‍යවස්ථාව අනුගමනය කරන්නට දිවුරුම් දීලා තියෙනවා. එහෙනම් අපි හැම එක්කෙනාම මේ ව්‍යවස්ථාව අනුගමනය කරන්නට තියෙනවා. කිසි විටක මේ රටේ යුද්ධ තිබුණත් මේක ඉවත් කරන්න කියලා ප්‍රධාන ඉල්ලීමක් තිබුණේ නැහැ. ඒ ගැන සාකච්ඡා කරෙත් නැහැ. විශේෂයෙන්ම විධායකයේ ඉන්න අය, ව්‍යවස්ථාදායකයේ ඉන්න අය, අධිකරණයේ ඉන්න අය සියලු දෙනාම බෞද්ධ ධර්මයට ප්‍රමුඛ ස්ථානයක් ලබා දිය යුතු තත්ත්වය අපි පිළිගන්න ඕනේ.
The International Monetary Fund says there is a strong expectation that Sri Lanka will soon reach agreements with external commercial creditors consistent with program parameters. Julie Kozak, director of the IMF Communications Department, said there has been sufficiently strong progress on the debt restructuring front. IMF staff and the Sri Lankan authorities reached staff-level agreement on economic policies to conclude the second review of the economic reform program and also the 2024 Article 4 consultation. COSAC confirmed that on June 12th, the IMF Executive Board will meet to discuss Sri Lanka's second review and the Article 4 consultation. Discussions with external bondholders continue with the aim of reaching agreements in principle soon, COSAC said, adding that negotiations with the China Development Bank are also at an advanced stage. The Disaster Management Center says that a total of 5,587 houses have been damaged due to the prevailing adverse weather conditions in parts of the island. Among them, 56 houses have suffered serious damages, while 5,531 houses have been partially damaged, according to the DMC. Meanwhile, the number of fatalities reported due to the prevailing weather conditions has also increased to 32, while one person is still reported missing. The number of individuals who sustained injuries during the inclement weather is 16, as per the reports of the DMC. The Disaster Management Center further states that 7,639 displaced persons have been moved to 1,973 relief centers established across the island. It is said that a total of 239,006 individuals from 63,413 families have been affected by the prevailing adverse weather conditions across the island. The Department of Irrigation has announced that while floodwaters are gradually receding, certain areas may continue to experience the aftermath of the recent flooding and adverse weather. Furthermore, the department has reported that the water level of the Kalani River has been normalized and the water level of the Kalu River is gradually decreasing. The Secretary of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Palitha Mahipala, emphasized the need for public vigilance regarding the heightened risk of infectious diseases spreading following the recent floods across the island. While addressing a press conference at the Health Promotion Bureau, he urged the people to avoid unnecessary visits to flood-affected areas. Meanwhile, necessary provisions have been initiated for the restoration of government schools and institutions affected by the floods. Director of the National Dengue Control Unit, Dr. Sudat Samaravira, says that within the last 5 months of this year, over 25,000 dengue cases and 9 dengue-related deaths have been reported. He also emphasized the critical importance of effectively managing the spread of the disease, noting that the current flood situation could potentially escalate the dengue outbreak to an epidemic level. Dengue is a preventable disease that can affect individuals of any age or socioeconomic status. While many individuals recover from dengue, it also poses a risk of mortality. This inherent risk underscores the importance of ongoing public education initiatives focused on dengue prevention. Particularly during the monsoon season, it is imperative to raise awareness about dengue and its prevention. In light of the epidemic situation observed towards the end of 2023, the number of reported cases surged to over 10,000 in January 2024. However, this figure gradually declined with only 2,234 cases reported by April. Nonetheless, the number of reported cases increased to 2,647 in May. The recent floods may exacerbate the breeding of dengue mosquitoes, potentially leading to a further increase in dengue cases in the future. Dengue transcends being solely a health concern. It extends into economic and social realms. Consequently, effective dengue control cannot be achieved by the Ministry of Health alone. It necessitates the full support of the public. Preventing dengue requires a collaborative effort involving all government departments, the private sector, and the entire population. The third reading of Sri Lanka Electricity Bill was passed in the Parliament with amendments. The Sri Lanka Electricity Bill, which incorporates the proposed reforms for the electricity sector, was presented to the Parliament by Power and Energy Minister Kanchana Wijesekara on April 25th. It was published in the Government Gazette on 17th April. The bill seeks to provide for the establishment of the National Electricity Advisory Council and make the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka the regulator for the electricity industry in terms of the proposed legislation. Further, it seeks to provide legislative measures applicable to the incorporation of corporate entities in which all activities connected to the generation, transmission, distribution, trade, supply and procurement of electricity are vested. In addition, the bill also provides for the repealing of the Ceylon Electricity Board Act No. 17 of 1969 and the Sri Lanka Electricity Act No. 20 of 2009. However, several parties challenged the proposed bill before the Supreme Court, following which the court informed the Parliament that several clauses of the proposed Sri Lanka Electricity Bill are inconsistent with the Constitution of Sri Lanka. The Supreme Court determination stated that these clauses shall only be passed by a special majority of Parliament and that one clause requires approval through a referendum, the Speaker informed the House. However, the country's apex court has stated that these clauses could be passed with a simple majority if amended as specified in the Supreme Court's determination. The Telecommunications Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka has granted preliminary approval for Starlink to provide satellite-based internet services in Sri Lanka. A 2-week period has been allocated for a formal public consultation process regarding the approval of this internet service. Following this period, the Telecommunications Regulatory Commission will take steps to implement the service in Sri Lanka. The initiative will deliver a fast internet service as well as to the education, research, tourism, fisheries and agriculture sectors, while also providing global access via this internet facility. During his participation in the high-level session of the 10th World Water Conference in Indonesia, President Ranil Wickremesinghe held discussions with renowned businessman Mr. Elon Musk regarding expediting the application process to connect Sri Lanka with the Starlink network. Consequently, Starlink has received approval to provide internet services via satellite technology. Currently, approximately 2,000 Starlink network centers are operational worldwide, providing high-speed internet access to 32 countries. Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Maldives, Musa Zamir, has called on Sri Lankan Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena at Temple Trees in Colombo. During the meeting, they exchanged views on strengthening existing areas of cooperation and exploring new avenues, particularly on trade, investment, education and culture, the Prime Minister's media division said. Minister Zamir expressed that his country is very keen to expand relations with Sri Lanka and the proposed bilateral treaties and memorandums of understanding would help to further strengthen economic cooperation between Maldives and Sri Lanka. It is proposed to sign an investment protection treaty, double tax avoidance agreement and to facilitate remittances by Sri Lankans employed in the Maldives who receive payment in Maldivian currency and to facilitate Maldivian students and medical tourists to make payments in Sri Lanka. He thanked the Prime Minister for the support given in the education sector and urged to facilitate education opportunities for more Maldives students. He said Maldives wants to recruit Sri Lankan teachers and doctors and requested Prime Minister to consider a government-to-government agreement for this purpose. Prime Minister Gunawardena stressed the need to enhance cooperation in tourism and energy sector, especially solar and wind power. Maldivian Minister Zamir was accompanied by the State Minister of Foreign Affairs in Maldives, Shayana Abdul, High Commissioner of Maldives Masood Imad, Additional Secretary Shirizimath Zamir, Director General Aishat Farina and Deputy High Commissioner Fatimath Ghina. As the crescent moon for the month of Dhul Hijjah has been sighted, Muslims in Sri Lanka will celebrate the Hajj festival on 17th June 2024, the Colombo Grand Mosque announced. The sighting of the moon marks the beginning of the Islamic month of Dhul al-Hijjah, during which the Hajj pilgrimage is performed and is followed by Eid al-Adha. Hajj, one of Islam's 5 pillars, is a pilgrimage to Makkah in Saudi Arabia that every Muslim must make at least once in their lifetime if they are able. Narendra Modi, leader of the Bharatiya Janata Party, is set to take oath as India's Prime Minister for a record-equaling third term on Sunday. A senior party leader said that the ceremony would take place at 6 p.m. local time. A BJP-led coalition, the National Democratic Alliance, won the general election with 293 seats. The results were unexpected as the BJP did not win an outright majority as several exit polls had predicted. This led to a couple of days of uncertainty over whether alliance partners would back Mr. Modi and the BJP or negotiate with an opposition bloc to try and form the government. NDA leaders unanimously backed Mr. Modi as the leader of the coalition and their prime ministerial candidate. At the meeting in capital Delhi, Mr. Modi thanked his allies and said that the NDA would make every effort to govern the country well and take it forward. The EU has become the second major global economy to cut its lending rate this week, saying it had made progress in tackling inflation. The European Central Bank announced a cut in its main interest rate from an all-time high of 4% to 3.75%. That follows Canada's decision on Wednesday to cut its official lending rate. The ECB's move comes as voters head to the polls for EU-wide elections over the next 4 days, with the outcome expected to reflect people's unhappiness over cost of living pressures. Christine Lagarde, president of the ECB, said the outlook for inflation had improved markedly, paving the way for the rate cut. However, she warned that inflation was likely to remain above the bank's 2% target well into next year, averaging 2.5% in 2024 and 2.2% in 2025. The ECB would keep interest rate policy sufficiently restrictive for as long as necessary to bring inflation down to the bank's 2% target. Well, that wraps up our news coverage for today. You can reach us on POTV, Samsung TV, LG TV, Apple TV, YouTube and Facebook Live, reaching the entire United States and across the globe. Thank you so much for joining in with us today. Until next week, have a fantastic week ahead.
To catch the full program and more, subscribe to MMC TV USA on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok